Family, good morning. It is Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. Get inside the comment box. I appreciate all you fan funders that make this channel what it is. Bama Football on YouTube. 118,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys being here every single day live, Monday through Friday. Or as major news happens, the Wake Up Bama podcast, 4 a.m. On-site campus reports. I live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, right? And something I want you to think about today, okay, is becoming a fan funder of Bama Football on YouTube for just $3.99 a month. That's it. Let me ask you a question, right? When you've been inside the comment box, when you've watched any of the videos that I've produced, right? Have you paid to watch any of those videos? Right? So I'm asking you now to sign up as a fan funder, right? Bama Football on YouTube, I think what makes it very unique is I am not salary. I am not, employed by anybody but myself. You all support me. So if you're out there and you're like, why would I become a fan funder? It's because you literally support me, right? I got the same bills that I have during the football season that I do during the off season. Think about that, right? And guess who's today's sponsor? Nobody. I don't got a sponsor either, all right? So if you want to support the product, if you like me going out there in a blazer and reporting on the news rather than just uploading the footage by itself, if you like some context that goes behind it, if you like the delivery, if you like the consistency, right? If you know that you can lean on me for Alabama football coverage, right? Then think about becoming a fan funder. Inside the comment box, right? Hit that join button for $3.99 a month. That's less than your latte. And you could support Bama Football on YouTube. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for being inside the comment box. And if your name is highlighted in green, then you are a fan funder right here on Bama Football on YouTube. And for those of you that are fan funders, right, would you say that you like the product? Do I ever deliver less than what you deserve? Seriously. Right? Yes or no? All right. So, how many times have you seen others out there in a blazer talking Alabama football? Mask Up Daytona. What's up, man? I appreciate you, bro. Good to see you, dog. And I think there's a big misconception. They're like, oh, you're charging. Yeah, because nobody out there in their right mind would work for free. Let me ask you a question. If you have a job out there, do you work for free? Yes or no? I don't think so. All right. So look, with that said, I appreciate you guys being here. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to be a fan funder inside the comment box. Just hit that join button. $3.99 to support Bama Football on YouTube. My goodness. Right? I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. Today on the program, right, we got Coach Kalen DeBoer. What he said, what he meant, right? And we will go through that right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Okay? So thank you so much. Dennis, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. Thank you very much for being here. We will do some shout outs in just a minute. I don't think Boxrix was able to, do that, to be here. All right. So what we're going to do on the program today, we're going to go with Kalen DeBoer, what he said, what he meant, break it down as we usually do, as Coach Kalen DeBoer spoke to the media yesterday for the first time this springtime. So we start out with Coach Kalen DeBoer up at the podium. If you can't hear the reporters' questions, I will kind of elevate and boost that audio so you can hear Coach. And then, you know how we do it. We've been doing this for a long time. So we will start with Coach Kalen DeBoer. He was up at the podium yesterday.
Time of the year where it's all about the work, and guys did that, in the weight room, a good 7 weeks, and get on the football field, what they love to do. So we'll still, every other day be hitting the weights and making sure our conditioning's good, but 2 practices in already. So Questions?
What do you have from an injury standpoint?
There's some guys that are still limited or out, really going back to the season. So nothing new. Nothing new that's happened in practice the first couple of days. Who you got?
I don't know.
The reporter is asking him who you got. Like, there's got to be guys that are banged up. So here's Coach Kalen DeBoer.
You got Zebo Latham, will be out for the spring. You got Bray will be limited contact, just coming off of stuff from the fall. London Simmons will be out for the spring. Will Sanders will be out for the spring.
How are the quarterbacks looking?
So there's not a lot of guys. I mean, he mentioned a couple guys that were limited or a couple guys that will be out. I mean, we've noted that before, right? Even going into spring football season, there wasn't a lot of guys that were necessarily held out. I think like London Simmons, William Sanders, Ja Latham, those guys are going to be out. And I think he said, some of the guys were limited. But I think I'm not surprised to hear, Danny Lewis is another one, right? Out with surgery, but nothing like earth-shaking. I mean, we've only had 2 days of practice, so thank goodness no guys are banged up or anything like that. But I think with some of the other guys is Danny Lewis. Is Danny Lewis going to, if he comes back, what type of impact is he going to have? I don't know. I would imagine him coming back for this coming year. I don't even know if he becomes a starter, in my opinion. Ja Latham, his seventh year back, is he going to play that wolf position over, Yanzi, over Justin Hill, over Dezulu? I don't know. The two guys is William Sanders and London Simmons. I think those guys are pushing for starting opportunities, right? So it's Will Sanders, could he make a start at guard? Maybe. And then London Simmons, I think he's going to be a rotational piece in terms of a player that could be a starter this year in a sophomore season, which is super impressive. The next question, Coach Kalen DeBoer was asked about the quarterbacks. This is the biggest storyline in all of college football, right? Everybody else has their storylines. And you're in college football? Yes. Without Alabama football, ESPN would cease to exist. None of the YouTube channels would exist, right? Every other YouTube channel has to discuss Alabama football in some fashion as their kind of flagship. Otherwise, they don't get the views, period, right? You can't talk about Kentucky. You can't talk about Florida just every often. You have to talk about Alabama football. That's why the biggest storyline in college football is the quarterback competition between Keelan Russell and Austin Mack, right? Has it been figured out? Has it been decided? No, absolutely not. Here's Coach Kalen DeBoer talking about the quarterbacks.
2 practices in.
Yeah, you can tell that they've had a number of reps, from the last year under their belt. Playing with confidence, calling the play in the huddle with confidence. Both of them, light years of where they were headed a year ago, obviously, and they should be. Love. The talent level as far as that's concerned is not a question. It's just a matter of them building the rapport with their skill around them, making the throws when they're there, feeling the timing and trust, and just feeling comfortable in the pocket, and that just comes with time, feeling comfortable with your offensive line doing the job up front. So like what they've done through 2 practices, created some good explosives on their end, good feel, working the mobility when they have to. And that's part of football too. It forces scramble drills and things like that. When that does come up, that helps our defense as well. So I think they're really putting a lot of pressure on our defense doing the same to them.
Yeah, I mean, so talking about the quarterbacks, I mean, nothing earth-shaking, but what makes my ears perk up is the fact that he said the quarterbacks are making some explosives, right? That makes my ears perk up. And I mean, in the short film that Alabama football showed, right, you saw what appeared to be explosives going to Rico Scott. Now, they didn't show us who threw those passes by design, right? Who do you think threw those passes? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Who threw, that pass to Noah Rogers? And welcome, James Jones. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. James Jones checked in. He became a fan funder for $3.99. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, James Jones. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you for the support, man. And I think the other thing that Coach Kalen DeBoer says, and rightfully so, is getting these guys comfortable with the offensive line. Yeah, after 2 days, how are you going to be comfortable with the offensive line? Alabama isn't even comfortable with the offensive line, right? They're not. So everybody has to, figure out these first 5 practices even to just start getting comfortable. And I don't even know if you get comfortable by the end of A-Day with your offensive line, because I think it's a ways to go for everybody to get comfortable with the offensive line. I feel the entire team's success literally revolves around the offensive line, right? It's like if the offensive line is really good, then I think we can see how good these quarterbacks are. If the offensive line is really good, we can see how good these running backs are. If the offensive line is really good, we get to see the combination between the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and the tight ends. You see what I'm saying? If the offensive line is good, that creates opportunities for the defense to take pressure off them. If the offensive line is good, you see what I'm saying? So it's all about the offensive line. In the biggest storyline here is the quarterback. Who's going to be the quarterback? It doesn't matter if the offensive line is poo. It doesn't, okay? Because if the offensive line is poo, then it doesn't matter how good even the defense is, because the offense can't manufacture points. You see what I'm saying? I appreciate you guys being here inside the comment box. Let's see who's checked in this morning as we're going over Coach Kalen DeBoer from Tuesday during Alabama's second practice. And today, the show, just for today, all right, give you an opportunity to become a fan funder for $3.99 a month, right? Okay, so if you're out there and you've been watching the show for a long time and you are not a fan funder, it's okay, right? Tomorrow, okay, will be an opportunity for you to come back, but today is an opportunity for you to become a fan funder, right, during this 1 hour of the program for $3.99. Think about it. I appreciate your consideration. I know there's 5 million other shows to watch. I think they all do an amazing job. Those guys do an amazing job, and they're supported by somebody else, right? I am supported by you. So I am asking you guys politely if you guys would think about giving me a consideration to become a fan funder, right? I do some videos that are also just for fan funders as well, but everything else, you're like, well, where does the money go? Everything else goes to me, right? And that's how I pay my bills. That's how I support my 2 kids, a single father of 2, right? Like, that's how I do it. So, like, just as you go to work and get paid, this is how I get paid. And I know you're like, this really exists? Yes. So if I would really appreciate your consideration in doing so, right? All the videos, every single thing takes a lot of work. Yesterday, uploading, all the work, it's more than 8 hours, right? It's a long time to produce all this stuff by myself. Plus, I run the Facebook channel by myself. Everything you see is done by myself. So I appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to earn your business, right? Because you just don't want to give away $3.99 or a $5 bill to anybody without, seeing a little meat on the bone. So hopefully we give you a little meat on the bone for less than $5 a month, okay? All right, Army 3275, I appreciate you being here. Let's get that on the screen. Give me 1 second. All right, let's see if we can do this again. All right, Army 3275, what's up, man? Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you. You've been in the corner for a long time. Broderick, what's up, bro? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being on the chat. We got Bruce Williams. What's up, Bruce? Good to see you, man. We got Danny the Great. Thank you, Danny. We got Chris from New Jersey. Thank you so much. We also have, Bot Ricks tried to join for a minute, right? We got Mask Up with Daytona. We got Danny the Great. We got Miss Amanda Jane. Thank you so much, Miss Amanda, for joining us. We got Rocket Town. Thank you very much, Rocket Town, for being here. We got, let's see who else we got. Michael Hill. What's up, Michael Hill? We got Dylan. Good to see you, Dylan. Thank you so much. We got Mike down in Choctaw. I love that. I like Mike in Choctaw more than I like Mike in Austin. I don't know why. I think the move down there, I don't even know if you moved there, Mike, and I'm sure we'll hear from you, when we open up the call lines again, but it's just like, I like Mike in Choctaw a lot. We got Georgie Boy right here. Thank you very much for joining us. We got Miss W. Hansen. Thank you so much. Broderick, I think I said what's up to you, man. We need to go get a workout in, bro. Let's go do it. Tomorrow. We can go do it tomorrow, man. Come out one of the days tomorrow, or one of the places tomorrow. Or on Friday at the Warrior. James Jones, what's up, bro? Thank you for becoming a fan funder today. Appreciate you guys. All right, so everybody inside the comment box, thank you so much. And again, today's show is an opportunity for you guys to become a fan funder for just $3.99 a month. All right, that is $399 a month. Just kidding. That is $3.99. What is less like? Is there anything less than $5 that you could really get? Right. I was thinking about that. I was like, what? It was less than like $5. I don't know. We continue with Coach Kalen DeBoer at the podium yesterday.
The turnover that you're looking at on the offensive line is high, even for the transfer portal era. between all the new starters you need and a new offensive line coach, I mean, have you ever started from scratch with an offensive line quite like this?
Have you ever started over with from scratch with the offensive line, as Alabama's about to do, as Alabama only has one returner, which is Michael Carroll?
Maybe not quite to that extent across the board when you talk about the coach and all the players. But you've had times where there's 3-4 starters that you have to replace. And so guys are hungry. Guys come in, they're wide-eyed, ready to learn. It creates competition. That's what you want across your team, but especially in that room. And they, really made a lot of improvements in the strength and, really excited about – you want to be excited about every guy, but excited about some certain guys in particular. And now you just got to see that translate onto the football field. And right now there's still some thinking going on. They're trying to get used to just what their job is, much less trying to get used to playing with the guy next to them and hearing those calls when the bullets are really flying. Walkthroughs are one thing, in the meeting rooms another. But now you get on the football field. So there's a learning curve that these guys will go through, but I'm excited about what Coach Clem brings and, the mindset. And that's really what you're trying to create as a football team, but especially up front, you're creating a mindset, creating an attitude here as you go through the practices.
Yeah, I see a lot of you commenting on Coach Kalen DeBoer and kind of the weight transformation that he made. How much weight do you think it's noticeable, right? I had a shorter video kind of go out on that yesterday. My goodness, I would say I don't think anybody has asked him. But how much weight do you think Coach Kalen DeBoer has lost? Like 60 pounds, 50, 20 to 30? I don't know. He looks great, right? He looks completely different from when he first got here. Just something that kind of stands out, right? When you look at Coach Kalen DeBoer, some people said it was stress. I don't know. Some people pointed to this and that. Either way, he's just lost a ton of weight. Him talking about the offensive line, speaking of weight, it's about communication. I think there was a lot of times last year where maybe we had too much rotation, or Alabama's offensive line didn't really have kind of that set five. I mean, they were moving Wilcom Formby here or there. He couldn't cut it. Eventually, Michael Carroll earned the right tackle position. We had a lot of different things going on with the guards. I guess Cam Dewberry was a staple, but the right guard, Jaden Roberts never really became that guy. We had Geno Vandermark there a little bit. It was like, I don't know what was really going on. Can we have like a solid five this year? Is there anything wrong with rotation? I don't know. I think I'm not mad at some rotation on the offensive line, but I would like kind of there to be a set group for the Crimson Tide on the front, at least as we kind of start the early season. And hopefully we got enough guys to where we can rotate some pieces in, but we have to have a solidified starting five. And of course, it's anchored by Michael Carroll. And then who else? I mean, as you can see, Coach Kalen DeBoer hasn't even mentioned one guy on the offensive line, because I think we're still trying to figure out who they want on the offensive line.
It seems like a lot of those guys have versatility too. Are you looking for them to kind of at one spot, like depending on the guy, or are you looking at them at multiple spots, kind of mixing and matching? What's kind of playing?
Yeah, you're going to try to keep them homed in on one spot. You're right. There is some versatility with a number of guys. That's nice, but you also don't want to get fallen into the trap where you're moving guys around, and now that continuity, that familiarity that I'm talking about. It's something that you don't see, and now you're not making the strides you want. So try to get guys in spots, try to keep it consistent here. We'll see as the weeks go on, and some of it's determined by health. We're in a good spot right now, but some of it's determined as you go through spring practices, just like in the fall. So like where we're at, kind of got a couple lineups with guys playing spots that they can kind of get a rhythm, be comfortable playing next to each other with.
Coach, you mentioned Coach Clem. How would you assess the offensive staff additions for the first few practices and what their contributions been?
Assessing the new offensive hires. Clem, I guess we have Brian Ellis at quarterback, and then you have Derek Nix at wide receiver. So 3 new offensive names to the staff. Here's Coach Kalen DeBoer on those 3 new additions.
Yeah, I think we had great coaches that were here that I really appreciate, and opportunities for them to move on, which they deserve. And, just coming in, 3 guys on offense, Nix, Owens, and Clem. I think there's a mindset that they have, experience factor that they have, whether it's at this level or the NFL. and they know what it's supposed to look like. I think the thing that jumps out at me is with them in particular is how efficient they can be. And I think the great coaches can identify something, articulate it very quickly. It makes sense to the player, not putting too much in their head, so they can play fast. But you're coaching, and that's your job. And so the players are supposed to compete and grind and refine what they're doing. They're taking it all in because they do see the expertise that these coaches have.
Coach, 2 practices in, including the fourth quarter, which incoming freshmen have stood out to you?
Which freshmen have stood out within 2 days of practice?
Anybody being able to contribute bigger in the fall?
Yeah, I think it's too early to just sit and pick guys up. I mean, I'm really pleased with them as a whole. I think it starts with, the way that they've built their bodies up. Some guys, and I know you guys have seen we released the weights, and some guys have put on some really good weight.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see that already and what that could be now, but especially in the fall as they continue to feel that weight and move with it. The horsepower underneath the pads when we put those on. Staff did a great job, I think, recruiting guys that can come in like we did the last 2 years that can play early. These guys are going to have to figure it out, the learning curve we talk about with being new, and get out there and be ready to compete. They get the install now, they get the install again in the summer, they get the install in the fall. And so by that time, there's a lot of guys that I know will be able to help us out.
What if Coach Kalen DeBoer, what's up, Crimson Angel? I see you inside the comment box, bro. They ask, the reporter asked, hey, Coach, has any freshman stood out, within 2 days of practice? And Coach clearly said no. But how crazy would it be if Coach Kalen DeBoer just came out and was like, wouldn't it be so completely different for him to come out and say this? Yeah, Sedarian Morgan looks amazing, and he looks like a guy that's going to start. Yeah, it's amazing to see Xavier Crowell, and it looks like he's going to, push for playing time. It's amazing. One guy that's really impressed me has been Jet Tamala, and it looks like Tamala is not being talked about enough, right? But instead it's like, well, I don't know. You guys just got here. He's like, you put on the weight. You kind of see how the guys are moving around. But it would just be so out of character for him, right? Like, I imagine if he was like, yeah, Jeriah Edwards looks like the man, and Keon Sabb should be terrified. No, I know. That's not him. That's not a lot of coaches, clearly. But from what we see, I mean, it sounds like the freshmen to me scream excitement, right? But I mean, rarely. Like, you think that he's ever going to say anything about like giving you a tip for the quarterback position? Never, right? Like, he's never going to be like, yo, Austin Mack, the throws he made today were incredible. No, he's going to be like, well, each guy did a great job. They were both exactly the same. All right, we continue with Coach Kalen DeBoer.
Like Dre Kirkpatrick is back out there. Where does he stand?
Dre Kirkpatrick, where does he stand in terms of being back with the team?
Yeah, I mean, he had consequences for what he did and the things he's gone through. Still pieces to that that he's taken care of when it comes to those consequences with the team. But missed a lot of the season last year. To be able to get back in the spot where he's on the football field, but he met those requirements and has a great attitude about him. He loves ball, and he's got to. Build the trust up with his teammates out there on the football field every day that, he'll do the things not just on the field but off as well to meet the standard of what our program expects.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, look, I posted something on Dre yesterday on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And the number one thing is like people want to know, what do you do? What do you do? You can look up what he did, all right? But you don't have to. Look at what he's doing. Look at where he's at as a person. Look at his emotional growth. Look at the fact that Coach Kalen DeBoer is, number one, I think a lot of people are like, see DeBoer as being soft, right? As DeBoer being ice cream, right? DeBoer would be, he held him accountable, right? Like, he made sure that he's facing consequences, right? You're never going to see consequences on, the Yale, Alabama site. You're never going to see that stuff because they're not going to show that sort of stuff, nor should they, right? But he held him accountable, and he's doing it right. He's making him, he didn't say anything about He's back on the team. He's saying he's earning the trust again for the team, as he should. So you never want to, just diminish somebody completely for making a mistake. You want to hold them accountable. That's coaching. That's mentorship. You want to be uplifting, bring that player back and hold them accountable as they come back. Make sure they're earning the trust so they can get on the field again, right? Because getting on the field is a privilege. There's no entitlement about getting on the field. Am I right? You have to earn that right. You have to earn the right to be inside the locker room. You have to earn the right to wear the script A. So I actually like what they're doing right here in terms of getting a player that is younger back on track, building him up, earn that trust, because we all love Dre Kirkpatrick in his playing style. We all know that he's a legacy. We all know what he brings to the table, but you got to be able to do that each and every day, and that's something that you just don't come back and automatically you're back. It takes time, and I believe he'll do that. So, Dre Kirkpatrick, we're looking forward to seeing what you could bring to the table. We all know he's an enforcer, and you got so much talent in the secondary. Dre Kirkpatrick, one of those pieces.
What have the conversations been like with Ryan Williams becoming an upperclassman?
What are the conversations with Ryan Williams becoming an upperclassman, turning kind of into a leader this year as he enters his third year at the capstone?
Germ leaving and trying to fill that void at the top.
Well, Ryan, you maybe can find someone, but just off the top of my head, he's probably played as many snaps as anyone on our offense.
Yeah.
And that's, again, the turnover that speaks to that. But, he's taken that on. He's taken on a leadership role, and in order to lead and be vocal like he has, and it's in him. And he just brings an energy and enthusiasm that you guys all see. It's nonstop. But in order to do that, you have to do the work. And he's always done the work. And I really feel like he's seeing an opportunity. He continues to raise the work, raise the level that, and be efficient in it. Because, he's always worked. But I think where he's focusing that attention, it's really intentional. And so it's great to see his leadership capabilities. Last year, I really felt like he took a great step, and now it's on another level. And so our team needs that. Our offense needs that.
And that's the thing with Ryan Williams is this is a contract year for him, and we discussed that not only on the field but off the field as well, right? How is Hollywood going to continue to emerge as a player? How is he going to continue to fight off the noise? Because I don't know if there's anyone else out there in college football that has to deal with more noise than Hollywood. And has he brought some of it on himself? I think he's brought a lot of it on himself, right? Anytime that you have success like he had, you're going to go into the ultra limelight, right? And then anytime that you drop as many footballs as you do, you're going to go to the limelight, right? As I continue to always say, Alabama football is covered more than any other program in the country, hands down. So when you're in Ryan Williams, the way that he shot up on the stardom, totem pole, nobody else was up there, right? We haven't seen a guy transcend from true freshman to megastar like he did. So when he was on the top, then, things went down, and a lot of things, the nail polish, the teddy bear, the dropped passes, most importantly, that sort of stuff. You give people ammunition, right? I mean, you can just basically dip out, or you can continue to battle and continue to work on yourself. And I think that's where Ryan Williams is. I don't think that Ryan Williams has given up. I think the university still believes fully in him. He is probably their most, I think he's probably their most expensive player, but I think he's making his own NIL. So I think, is Alabama paying him? Yeah, but I think he's making so much from his NIL that it's kind of, it makes more sense from him from the NIL perspective. But listen, Ryan Williams is due for a monster year. Ryan Williams will have a monster year. Ryan Williams, if he can block out the noise and kind of just be who he is, I think 1,000-yard season is certainly in the cards. And this is a guy, this is his last season here. Plain and simple. Ryan Williams will bounce after this year. He'll go to the NFL, and pretty soon he'll be on your fantasy football team. But he's got to block out the noise and got to focus on his team, himself, and be a team-first player and still have that star element that he's capable of having.
Yeah, no, we recruited these guys are pretty much mostly sophomore.
Let's see. I didn't even hear that question. Let's see what he said.
Step, and now it's on another level, and so our team needs that. Our offense needs that.
What do you want to see from the inside linebackers this spring? Inside linebackers, great question. Love this because you lost those 3 veteran linebackers, right? Let's see what Coach Kalen DeBoer has to say on the inside linebackers.
Yeah, no, we recruited. These guys are pretty much mostly sophomores. Like, CJ would be, a junior, I guess, or, older. And those guys were brought in for a reason because we saw the graduation of the guys that just left happening. And so they got a chance to learn last year, and now's the opportunity. Yes, they got special teams reps last year, but they got a chance to go out there now, compete, and then bringing in Caleb, who is a captain-type guy. His leadership coming in has been certainly noted and appreciated. So, those guys all together, learning things together, just excited. And again, they're hungry, just like maybe other positions we're talking about, like the offensive line, where there's a lot of new faces looking for opportunities.
The spring game format coming back, is that something that your guys maybe look forward to, or you as a coach, where's your stance on that?
Yeah, I mean, we always want a scrimmage and have a great spring game. Last year, we just had 2 position groups in particular, but just we wouldn't have been able to put on a good show. We needed to get something out of the practices. Unfortunately, that was where we were at a year ago. I think we're in a different spot this year. We really haven't talked about it as a team. We're just focused on what's next. But, we'd love to get out there and have some fun, practice and get better and scrimmage. That's kind of the expectation that we have for that day. Hopefully nothing crazy happens, but that's what I would expect for A-Day.
Yeah, I mean, I think with A-Day, he's not going to give you a clear answer on terms of like what is going to happen for A-Day, but it's like I don't think they absolutely know what they want to do right now. I think it's a month away. They're probably figuring it out right now. But he did say that they're going to have a scrimmage, so I think that's positive. Is it going to be exactly like it was in the past? Are they going to play for, steak and beanie weenies? Probably not. I mean, that was something with the old regime. Maybe this year it's ice cream and cones, right? If you win the A-Day, you get a hot fudge sundae, and if you lose, you just get a cone or something like that. I don't know. But I think it's still an opportunity for you to come out and support Alabama football, and I think you should definitely come out regardless and support this team. It's not going to be I would imagine if you have to pay, right? I mean, you have to pay for everything, right, this year. I mean, I'm asking for, $3.99 a month. So if Alabama is asking you for NIL, I mean, the players aren't for free. Coach isn't coaching for free, right? I mean, come out and support the team if you can. It'll be a wonderful day for people to come and support Alabama football. If it's a scrimmage, which I think it sounds like it'll be, we'll see what happens. And it'll be like this. You know what? I guarantee you there's going to be like a curveball, though, right? It'll be like Coach Kalen DeBoer has separated the teams, but it'll be like first team versus second string. And both Austin Mack and Keelan Russell will be like on the field at the same time. So there's not like you can't figure out like who the winner is. You see what I'm saying? Or they won't have like the starters throw passes. Austin Mack and Keelan Russell won't scrimmage that day, but it'll be like Jet Tamala versus like Tatum Kahua. Something it'll be some weird curveball that you haven't thought about. You know what I'm saying? It'll be really weird.
How do you plan to navigate spring practice moving forward without a spring portal?
How do you plan to operate spring practice without there being another portal on the back end?
It really doesn't change. I feel like our culture a year ago, there was a window, and we were able to retain everyone. We coach our guys hard. I mean, that's what you have to be, and the guys will weed themselves out if it's something that they just don't want to be a part of, and that's meant to be if that's the case. And so we want the guys that want to be here, want to be coached up. The coach's job is to teach, critique, and demand, and we're going to demand excellence, the greatness out of them every single day. And so, these guys, they're going to get coached hard. They want it. The portal window, it probably, if anything, gives you an ease of mind that this is your football team for the most part, whether it's guys leaving or guys coming. And, we get to work as a team to build what we want to become, and this is the time that you do that.
What have you seen or what stands out from transfer Grayson Delgati? Can you tell us about Grayson?
Yeah,
What have you seen about transfer center Grayson Delgati, who's come in?
come in, really built himself up. I think the strength and conditioning program was a big part that he was excited about, and he took advantage of that. The last few weeks, you could really see him take some strides there with his strength numbers, and I think that's probably giving him confidence when he steps on the football field. And again, we haven't even put pads on, and it's hard to evaluate that right now, but him going out there and making the calls and getting things started, that's what a center's got to do, and he's done a good job so far.
Yeah, I mean, you ask about the physicality of some of the guys. It's early, right? I mean, I like the question, but it's early, right? I mean, it's like you haven't even seen these guys in full pads yet. But a guy like Grayson Delgati, I think, was a great addition from the transfer portal. I think you absolutely needed a guy that had veteran experience, right? So, we see how he does when the pads come on, because I think there's a big change when you're in shells to when there's pads on, okay? And again, family, if you are watching today's show, the comment box only is for fan funders, okay? Is this something that is going to stay long-term? Probably not, but let me just explain it to you from my perspective, okay? And I would love to hear from you guys inside the comment box, or you can email me as well, okay? But Pat McAfee, his show is all fan funders. Am I Pat McAfee? Absolutely not, right? But I am supported by you. So just like you have a full-time job, I have a full-time job as well. And truth be told, it's tough during the off season to do this on a full-time basis because I have the same bills that you have, right? But during the spring season. And I don't like to over-explain myself, but that's the truth, right? I have 2 kids that are teenagers. I have the same expenses that you have, right? And I think it makes sense for me to be paid for my work. Am I a salary employee? I don't work for anybody else. I don't work for the university. I'm not affiliated with the university. I'm not affiliated with any of the great sites out there. I'm not. I get paid once a month by YouTube. That's it. And my check greatly fluctuates based on the season. So I really appreciate you guys, right? Just understanding kind of where I'm at. And let me ask you this. Do you think that I should be paid for my work, or do you think I should do this for free? Seriously. I'll post it inside the comment box, okay? Should the work that I do, should Kyle be paid for his work? Yes or no? And maybe you don't see this as work, and I totally get that. A lot of people don't understand, but it's this is a point where I think I've earned enough of your trust to ask, right, for your consideration. You see what I'm saying? But if you guys don't feel that way, then I totally understand it. I mean, I don't have the biggest YouTube channel, and it may come to a point where I do something else for my full-time basis, and that's okay, right? But I choose to cover the team, and I love to go to the on-campus reports, and I love to have the Wake Up Bama, and I think I've showed you enough consistency that I should be paid just like everybody else, right? I mean, there's premium message boards out there, right? You have to read to get behind, Bama Online or 247 or all those great, those guys are getting paid, right? None of those guys work for free. All those guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I get it. That's the way the world works. I'm a little bit more different because I'm not affiliated with any of those sites. I'm just by myself. So that's why I'm asking for your consideration. And you guys, think about becoming a fan funder. And guess what? Tomorrow's show, it'll be completely opened, right? But at least this will give you an opportunity. And it's not like the show is paid. You're still watching it, right? So I'm explaining myself, I think, clearly. Is that if you guys can support the channel, I would really appreciate it. Look at my sponsors. I don't have one sponsor either. It's literally just you. And as Jarvis says inside the comment box, free to watch, not free to produce. 100%, right? All right. And thanks, Daytona, for voting inside the comment box, bro. Appreciate you. Okay. We continue with Coach Kalen DeBoer.
Being so early in spring practice, what are you looking for from your team? You said you haven't put pads on, but what are those little things you're wanting to see?
What are you looking forward from your team going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, you're always trying to build and reestablish your culture with every new team, and it doesn't matter how many guys are new. The year starts over, and so we're trying to reestablish and build on the culture that we have in place, but reestablish what this team's going to be about. You're really focusing on execution every single day, trying to get better at and repetitions. Makes us all better, and then. We'll get to situational stuff as spring goes on. We were great in those moments a year ago, but the fundamental things, and our guys need to walk away from here when we get done with the spring with an understanding of our scheme. As again, with so many new guys, that's got to be there, but also how their techniques that we're teaching apply to the opportunities and moments that they're in. And so just walking away where they can do things in the summer when they have the player run practices, continue to get better. Really have an understanding of what coaches expect.
Coach, I know you've probably spent a couple of times in the last couple of months scouting from last season to this season. What do you think you need to make the biggest improvement?
What was the first part you said?
The scouting.
Scouting?
Self-scouting.
Yeah.
Self-scouting for this team. I like this question. Self-scouting yourself going into this next season.
I think there's a couple pieces. One, you got to make sure that you continue to maintain the strengths of who you were. 2 years ago, and I don't think we were necessarily undisciplined. There was just a lot of moving pieces, and a lot of guys probably overthinking a step slow, and now you get a holding call or defensive pass interference. But we went from one of the bottom teams in the league, penalty-wise, to the best, and so that's got to stay a strength. Turnover margin. It still cost us at times, and the games we lost, there were turnovers, and losing that, was critical. But we didn't have the peaks and the valleys like we did the year before, and so I think we ended up fourth in the conference in turnover margin. We can still be better there. We have to be better, but we made a lot of strides. Great in the critical moments, end of the half, end of the game. A lot of games were swung at the end of the first half. A lot of games were won with our guys executing, playing fast. That's a trust and a belief. So you got to make sure those strengths are there. Execution, especially when it comes to up front and being able to run the football. I mean, I don't think there's any secret about that. We got to do a better job there. That's going to open up the rest of our offense. Defensively, we dropped a little bit in our takeaways. We still did a good job. I think we created more pressure. We want to take the next steps in that area where we can get even more pressure on the quarterback and maybe do it without having to dial up blitzes as much, and guys just winning because of their technique, because of their understanding and trust that, they got guys on the other side that are, and guys that push up the middle that can be generated to put pressure on a quarterback. Special teams is an area where we had a lot of turnover with our specialists in particular, but also the guys that were making tackles and making blocks from year 1 to year 2, 24 to 25. A lot of new faces in those areas, and so some more familiarity with guys who are out there, not just the specialists, but also the guys got to go down and cover. The guys, I think in our return games, it's an area we can definitely improve on. We had some one-off punt return and a kick return. I think about Wisconsin. I think about Oklahoma, where there was a punt return and a kick return where we fell short. We were pretty solid other than that, but it's those one plays here and there that we can't give up. So just taking those next steps in all those areas, making sure that our strengths are what they are, is kind of what you're honing in on, and making sure you never take anything for granted.
You lose a lot of production at that bandit position.
I like that question. I hadn't thought about that, but in terms of getting more turnovers last season, I didn't realize they finished fourth in the SEC. That's really impressive to me, and I feel like Coach Kalen DeBoer said, I think that's an area they can also turn it up a little bit. I think there can be more interceptions. I think we can get more strips on the quarterback, or hit the running back and pop the ball out or whatever. This team. The swarm defense is about creating turnovers, and that's why I'm excited about this year's defense, because when I look to that secondary, I'm like, how are these guys not going to turn up on kind of the turnovers, right? And I think that's an area that I'm excited about. The penalties, I think they did improve in that area as well. You know what? Another area, help me out with this. We'd have to look at it, but I think that with Alabama football, over the last 2 years under Coach Kalen DeBoer, these guys have held on to the football, like the running backs, right? We've had drops. The receivers have dropped passes, but the running backs have held on to the ball. We have to count up the fumbles, but it doesn't seem like this is a team that coughs up the football a lot, right? And in terms of like forcing, like Alabama having its own turnovers, they haven't had too many turnovers. I mean, there's been costly turnovers, but this isn't a turnover-plagued team over the last couple of years, right? All right, we continue with Coach Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, I think that.
I didn't hear that. Let's see what he said.
Yeah, I think that Bandit and Wolf.
I guess Bandit and Wolf, like he's talking about, like who are some guys at Bandit and Wolf?
Like you talk about position flex. We talked about offensive line. I think there's some guys actually at the Bandit Wolf spot. Yanze. You guys will see when you see him. Maybe you've seen him out in public, but he's built himself up and continues to get better. I think he's got some position flex now, which is going to allow guys like Justin Hill, and different combinations, personnel packaging on the field. Dez coming in. I mean, I know I'm going to miss some guys, even DT, Devin being able to play inside and outside, so it isn't always just Wolf Bandit. But those guys, those guys have body types and skill sets that I think are going to allow our defensive staff to have fun, but put them in positions to go cut it loose and get after people.
Kalen, when you look
Yep. One more. Yep. Yep.
When you look at approaching this year,
Let's get to this super chat from our buddy Mattress Matt. Mattress Matt with the super chat, man. Our first one of the day. Thank you so much, Mattress. I appreciate you, man. Draw near him. He will draw near you. Owens Louisville offensive line got 5 yards per carry against Miami's number 1 defense and held Ruben Bain to 0 sacks. Oh, interesting. What's up, Mattress Matt? How you doing, bro? I appreciate you, bro. Thank you very much for always being in our corner, and thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Owens offensive line, and he's talking about Richard Owens, the new tight end coach, who was the offensive line coach at Louisville last year. They got 5 yards per carry against Miami's number 1 run defense and held Ruben Bain to 0. Ruben Bain, right, was Miami's defensive line was so impressive. Actually, they ran the ball well. Miami was a lot better than I thought they would be. But that was a team that kind of turned it on at the midseason. Anyways, I appreciate the super chat. An interesting stat right there, Mattress Matt. I really appreciate it. I think we got one more from Coach Kalen DeBoer.
last year's scholarship limit, this year with more of a roster limit.
Talking about scholarship limit.
What does that look like in terms of front office? I know you guys brought in quite a few like walk-ons and things like that, and there's still some spots to save for guys who, are not quite here yet. What does that look like?
The scholarship, I think you're referring to, it was 85 limit. Now there's more, and so you're trying to build an overall roster, right? Because you got to practice. It isn't just about the high end guys that are on the football field making plays. It's guys that can compete and be ready when their number's called, can push those guys, but also you got to build you're always trying to bring up your floor too, and whether that's young guys or new guys or just guys that raising your level, it makes your program better altogether. And so I think there's been a really good job by our staff of continuing to not just look at the starters and try to increase and improve there, but also our bottom part of our roster and trying to bring that up to lift our entire team. So I appreciate what our staff's done, not just focused on the stars and the guys that have transferred in, those ones, but also those 2s and 3s and walk-ons are a huge part of what we do, whether it's practice reps and looks and scouts, or just the culture of your program. And so really proud of these guys that have stayed. They're proud of the guys that have come in and, been fighting. They make up, that's what makes a great football team. Thank you, guys. Yep.
All right, that was Coach Kalen DeBoer up at the podium. I think, as we kind of look to, takeaways from Coach Kalen DeBoer at the podium during the first time that he speaks to the Alabama media, I liked what he had to say for the most part. I think that the core items that he hit on kind of in retrospect is that the quarterbacks are taking a big step, right? And that they are light years ahead of where they were last year. That was a point that I thought about. And that's right. And then I also thought about this. I was like, you know what? The quarterbacks have now had one full year. Each of them have had one full year with Ryan Grubb. Now, Austin Mack has more experience overall, but Ryan Grubb, they've both been with Ryan Grubb each for just one season. So maybe that puts them kind of on an even playing field. The Dre Kirkpatrick update I think is interesting. Kind of dove into that and talked about that a little bit, making him earn his way back through trust. The offensive line starts fresh, and Adrian Clem has his hands full. What he's going to do this year with the Alabama offensive line, and I think it's way too early to even assess or to figure out where Alabama's offensive line is just after 2 practices. It's too early. The defensive pass rush, and I think the Wolf and Bandit, they can mix and match kind of players there. They have a lot of talent. Terrence Green, Devin Tompkins, Yonze Pierre, Justin Hill, Dez Zulu. Of course, the guys behind those, they have a lot of flexibility and they have a lot of movement. And then some new offensive coaches like Derek Nix, Brian Ellis. How are those guys going to help elevate the room, right? Derek Nix, the wide receiver coach, what is he going to do with all of his weapons? And then on the other side, you have Brian Ellis. How is he going to develop the quarterbacks, right? That is something that I think we are all watching is kind of the development, because you look to Alabama, the future of the quarterback room, and it's absolutely promising, even with Jet Tamala, Taden Kahawa, or Keelan Russell going into just his redshirt freshman year. So a lot of positives. It's good to kind of always stop and pause and kind of what he said, what he meant. It's always fun to do with Coach Kalen DeBoer. All right. So I appreciate you guys. Okay. This was a fan funder only in the chat. Okay. You still watch the show out there, all right? The show operates, right, as normal. Videos as normal. Guess what? Today I'm going on vacation for the rest of the day. Just kidding. You know me. All right, stay tuned for another video from On Campus, all right? So I appreciate you guys so much. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as Alabama finish it up. Number 2 practice, and they go into number 3, which will be Thursday. And we'll cover that right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for being inside the comment box. If you're watching, I appreciate you guys too. We will be back with another video right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you guys. Welcome James Jones, who became a fan funder, and we will see you guys tomorrow right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Stay tuned for the next video.